You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Fired. That was the word today from Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot when it applies to Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson. He was supposed to retire at the end of the year. This whole thing was set up. She said, oh, hell no. She came out today hot in a news conference in the Windy City. Check this out.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm announcing that I terminated Eddie Johnson's employment as superintendent of the Chicago Police Department for cause effective immediately. Upon reviewing the materials as to Eddie Johnson of the Inspector General's ongoing investigation regarding the events of October 16th and early morning hours of October 17th and thereafter, it has become clear that Mr. Johnson engaged in a series of actions that are intolerable for any leader in a position of trust, particularly the head of the Chicago Police Department. This is obviously not a decision that I entered into lightly. However, the circumstances demanded these actions. There are three reasons for this decision. First, the finding of the Inspector General's report regarding Mr. Johnson, which I recently reviewed, makes clear that Eddie Johnson engaged in conduct that is not only unbecoming, but demonstrated a series of ethical lapses and flawed decision-making that is inconsistent with having the privilege of leading the Chicago Police Department. Second, Johnson intentionally misled the public in a press conference he called on October 17, 2019. He was not caught off guard, and he had plenty of time to choose his words. And the choice he made was a communicated narrative replete with false statements, all seemingly intended to hide the true nature of his conduct from the evening before. Finally, just like with the public, Eddie Johnson intentionally lied to me several times, even when I challenged him about the narrative that he shared with me. He maintained that he was telling the truth. I now know definitively that he was not. Had I known these facts at the time, I would have relieved him of his duties as superintendent then and there. I certainly would not have participated in a celebratory press conference to announce his retirement. Mr. Johnson failed the hardworking members of the Chicago Police Department. He intentionally misled the people of Chicago, and he intentionally misled me. None of that is acceptable. This moment needs to be a turning point for the Chicago Police Department, the way things are done in this city. As for the department, yesterday, today, and tomorrow has to be about culture change. That must start at the top. That hard but important work is impossible without strong leadership focused on integrity, honesty, legitimacy, and accountability. Time and again, line police officers are held accountable for their actions, but their supervisors get a pass, even when the supervisors were aware of or directed the conduct at issue. Perhaps in years past, someone in Mr. Johnson's circumstances would have been allowed to simply retire. Doing so today, in these circumstances, would have been inconsistent with who I am and with the kind of principled leadership I want to bring to the city. None of us are perfect, and we all make mistakes. But in public life, we must be honest and accountable for our actions and must strive to do better every day. When there are ethical lapses in judgment, particularly in a position of trust like the superintendent of police, then it is incumbent upon me and all of us to ensure accountability. That's why I decided to take this clear and decisive action today. The old Chicago way must give way to the new reality. Ethical leadership, integrity, accountability, legitimacy, and yes, honesty must be the hallmarks of city government. There must be no mistake about the message I am sending today. The 13,400 sworn and the civilian members of the Chicago Police Department who work hard every day deserve a leader they can believe in. And to achieve the reform and accountability in the department that we know is urgently needed, we require a leader whose actions reflect the virtues of integrity, honor, and legitimacy, the touchstones of what it takes to have the privilege of being a Chicago police officer. I am confident that the interim Superintendent Beck is such a leader, and that both he and the eventual permanent superintendent will serve with honor.
All right, folks, for more details, we're joined by Brandon Polt, reporter and anchor for WCIU-TV in Chicago. Brandon, glad to have you here. First of all, here's what's strange. So you have the Inspector General's report, but the mayor would not release the details, what was in that report. She said she wanted to spare the superintendent's wife and children. That even raises additional questions.
Yeah, it definitely does, Roland. A lot of people's eyes and ears really perking up to that one. People wondering, what does the video that Lori Lightfoot saw actually have to say about this? We're actually, our organization, putting in a FOIA request for that video because we do want to see what did the mayor see. Apparently, it wasn't the story that Superintendent Eddie Johnson told. He told the mayor that he had his high blood pressure and he felt himself about to pass out. He had a few drinks before and there was some sort of reaction to that. And so we decided to take a nap, so to speak, right at the stop sign. Apparently, that is not the case at all. And of course, a lot of people had their doubts already about that, especially with no breathalyzer test taken at the scene. But now we have more questions than answers right now. And we're looking forward to seeing what that IG report has to say and also what the video actually shows. But it's going to be interesting. People are talking here in Chicago, a lot of speculation about this being a situation that could damage Eddie Johnson's family. Who was he with? That's the question.
Yeah, so again, this was the quote. While at some point the Inspector General's report may become public and those details may be revealed, I don't think it's appropriate or fair to Mr. Johnson's wife or children to do so at this time. I hope we can all take care to treat them with dignity and respect. As you said, he was found slumped behind his car, but he also has a driver. But he dismissed the driver to drive himself home. I mean, that makes no sense, because if you were having an issue with your health or a reaction to medicine or things along those lines, you have a driver.
Yeah. You know what also doesn't make sense, Roland? This situation happened around 12:35 a.m. Eddie Johnson said he was very tired that night, said he had a dinner engagement he was at. What dinner engagement goes past midnight? That's a question that raises a lot of flags right there. So the whole situation as it lined up just didn't look right from the beginning. The mayor is saying that Eddie Johnson only lied to her, but also lied to the people of Chicago when he held a press conference trying to clear up details on this himself. It's murky territory. And you mentioned Jussie Smollett earlier. It's interesting that CPD came so hard after Jussie Smollett, talking about him lying to the people of Chicago. And now you have Chicago's own mayor saying that the superintendent of police of the city is now lying to the city of Chicago.
But see, this is not the Chicago police. This was Eddie Johnson. This was Johnson who went on Good Morning America, who held a news conference, who stood right next to Rahm Emanuel, who ripped Smollett for lying and calling him all sorts of names. And it was Johnson doing that. Here you have a pissed off mayor. I mean, she was pissed. See, for her to come out there and say she could have easily chilled 3 weeks from now, fine, because the deal is, what? I think he fully vested like in April. Then it got moved up to the end of the year. And then she's like, nah, we ain't waiting 3 more weeks. His ass gone right now. Clearly, she's also pissed that she stood at a news conference celebrating him, and then when she finds out something else, she's like, no. I got to tag his ass right now.
You know, Lori Lightfoot, like anyone, does not like to get played. And honestly, I think anybody who has a work situation could relate to this. If you lie to your boss, especially in something that deals with alcohol, they stand by you, they take your word for it, and then it comes around that may not be the case at all, then you're not going to keep that job. That's just the way it goes. And so, we still have not heard from Eddie Johnson, heard his side of the story. Certainly, he will say something at some point. He can't disappear in a city like Chicago. So we're going to hear his side of things for sure. But it's quite a turn of events going from what we saw with Jussie Smollett and him, like you said, on all these networks, front and center. Talking about lies being told about the city of Chicago and people lying about the city of Chicago and lying to people in Chicago. And here we have the situation which, the mayor talking about integrity in the police department. She's trying to send a message here that nothing is going to fly. You mentioned his retirement benefits as well. Some sources saying that he may be able to keep his retirement benefits, even though this did happen just a few weeks before the benefits would have kicked in. We're still waiting to see what happens with that, but just a wild turn of events, Roland.
And again, folks, y'all might remember, first of all, go to my iPad. This was Eddie Johnson, okay, trash to Jussie Smollett.
This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile? How can an individual who's been embraced by the city of Chicago turn around and slap everyone in this city in the face by making these false claims?
Well, Brandon, that's essentially what the mayor said he did.
Yeah. When you're playing that, I'm listening to him talk about how could someone make false claims. You're right. It echoes almost eerily to the same situation Eddie Johnson's facing right now. And while the Jussie Smollett situation is a different situation entirely, and that still is playing out with whether Jussie was telling the truth or not. What Eddie Johnson did here, we're gonna see with this IG report and with this video evidence. There's video from dash cameras and things like that. It's not going to be good news for him. So
you say dash cam because there were officers who arrived on the scene and woke him up.
That's right.
So they have body camera footage, dash cam footage, and then for her to say she asked him directly and he lied to her several times?
Yeah. Exactly, man. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, come on. There's video.
Well,
and the audacity of it, too, and the thing that really made people roll their eyes when they heard about this and why Lori Lightfoot taking this stance is actually probably good for her politically and fits in line with what she does. When you hear he didn't get a breathalyzer test, you think, wow, same old CPD, protecting the people at the top of the chain, no accountability, and same old, same old. Mayor Lori Lightfoot here saying, now the buck stops here. And, this is not something I'm going to tolerate at all. So it's a strong statement from the mayor and something that is going to send a message for sure. She's not one to be toyed with.
All right. Brandon Polt, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you.
Joining me right now, Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor, Environmental Justice, EPA. Also, Dr. Julian Malveaux, economist, president emerita at Bennett College. Dr. Cleo Manago, political analyst and behavioral specialist as well. So, Cleo, that was a pissed off mayor.
Yeah, apparently something went down, and we don't know what it was, but they got videotape. But it's interesting.
But I'm looking at that statement.
You looking at what?
The statement she made about the wife and the kids.
Who made a statement about the wife and the kids?
No, the mayor.
Oh, that it might affect them.
See,
but
I ain't saying what I think it is. But when that kind of statement is made, that ain't alcohol. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is, but I think it's peculiar, though there's a central theme called lying that hasn't been associated with Jussie Smollett's incident. But as he said, it's two different incidences. And lying might be part of it's in the water or something, I guess, in Chicago.
But Julian, the thing is here. Again, those are two separate situations.
Yes.
But the reality is this man found slumped over. Next day has his big old news conference, lays out health. I welcome an internal investigation. Then all of a sudden he's gonna retire. He's fed it. Folks there. She's there. Now all of a sudden she found out what the real deal was. She's like, yeah, your ass got to go today.
Brother man got
But remember how bad it was. Not just today. The former police chief of L.A., Beck, she said he on a plane right now.
Damn.
Yep.
She said he on a plane right now, will be here later today. He's going to serve as the interim superintendent while they find a person. They ain't even wait. She put the... Yo, I need your ass to fly to Chicago right
now.
Bruh.
Now.
Cleo, she said he on the plane right now.
Damn, she ain't playing.
Well, no, she ain't playing. and she when she campaigned, talked about new standards for the Chicago Police Department. So she's imposing those. This is tragic, but the brother set himself up. I don't know what happened, but he set himself up. Yeah.
Well, did he?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, did he get caught on purpose?
But I'm sure he didn't get caught on purpose.
Don't nobody get caught on purpose.
I'm sure he didn't get caught on purpose, but...
You ain't found slumped behind no steering wheel.
If you
your
have
car after you dismiss your driver.
If you have a driver,
near your crib,
use your driver.
Yeah.
If you have or take an Uber.
That's real
Goodness.
suspicious.
I mean,
no, don't take a Uber. No, you got a driver. But again, what I'm still stuck on, and I'm sorry, you sat there and you talked a whole bunch of ish. Mustafa. I mean, he went on every network dogging Jussie. Mm-hmm. I bet Jussie right now is singing at home.
Well, he's certainly cracking up.
Mustafa.
The words matter. I used to write speeches for senior officials. I think we should pay attention to some of the other words that's inside of there. Because the mayor said a couple of times a series of events. And I don't know if people are paying attention to that.
Yeah, I heard her.
So that means that there's more going on in this space than probably we're aware of. And that may mean that, some of those behaviors have been repeating themselves over and over again. So it'll be interesting, one, to see the tape that comes out, and two, to see what the IG has said as well.
So you think you might have a man on the side?
I don't know what he got.
Leo.
I said that because I don't make heterosexual assumptions. Who knows?
All I know is this was the official statement she released. Y'all, upon a thorough review, y'all got my iPad, of the materials of the Inspector General's ongoing investigation, it has become clear that Mr. Johnson engaged in a series of ethical lapses that are intolerable. Mr. Johnson was intentionally dishonest with me and communicated a narrative replete with false statements regarding material aspects of the incident that happened in the early morning hours of October 17th. Had I known all the facts at the time, I would have relieved him of his duties as superintendent then and there.
Sister is totally...
I told you, she pissed.
She definitely ticked off. But she handled it very well.
She did.
She handled it well. And the real issue is this guy has been in the public eye for any number of things. This is just really
He's
tragic.
a superintendent of police.
But we have not heard from Mr. Johnson yet. So,
Well,
maybe he'll shine some light on here. Maybe,
yeah, Cleo.
Two MAGA people with MAGA hats. Let me stop.
Mr. Johnson ain't saying nothing.
And
we need to hear from him, though.
I don't think he is going to say it.
Mr. Johnson ain't going to be saying nothing.
You don't think so?
No.
No. I think his best bet is to lay low. Just lay low.
All right.
We got 3 weeks, so.
Hopefully we'll find out exactly what happens. All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, it's the holiday season. This is when you think about spending time with the family and friends. This is also when you count your blessings and support those less fortunate. This year, be a holiday hero and change someone's life forever. Right now, hundreds of thousands of Americans are sitting in jail without being convicted of a crime. Why? Because they lack the financial resources to pay their bail. Now think about it. If you are arrested for any minor offense, you will be taken directly to jail. If you don't have bail money, you will stay there until a court date is scheduled. That could be days, weeks, or even months. Simply put, America's bail system is broken for people of color. Freedom folks should be free. That's why the Ebony Foundation has partnered with the Bail Project and is sponsoring the Home by the Holiday campaign. The Bail Project has helped bail out thousands of people over the years. And with your help, we plan to bail out 1,000 people by New Year's Day. How's that for a holiday gift? A donation from you today can change someone's life tomorrow. Did you know people of color represent upwards of 90% of the jail population across the country? Without bail, nearly 90% of those charged with misdemeanors plead guilty. However, with paid bail, less than 2% receive a jail sentence. Folks, sometimes justice needs just us to fight to join the fight. You can be a holiday hero by donating $25, $50 or more to help the Ebony Foundation bring our brothers and sisters home by the holiday. To donate, go to homebytheholiday.com. It's homebytheholiday.com. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.